What's going on, guys? Aarava here. Welcome back to my F1 2016 career mode, episode number 20 today for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the second last race of this season. So before we get on to the story practice, just having a quick look at the laptop. I know a few of you guys have been asking to see the actual chart, to see the pecking order. Actually, surprisingly, not many teams have been moving around at the top there. You can see Red Bull, since USA, has made that approach to kind of level Ferrari, but then both the teams haven't been able to overtake Mercedes, which is quite surprising because I've seen quite a few of you guys tweet me about your career modes and how Ferrari and Red Bull have both overtaken Mercedes. So a little bit disappointed in a way, because it would have been quite nice to see a new team right at the top there. But saying that, Mercedes has been so inconsistent in our career mode that it hasn't really mattered, to be honest, because we've seen quite a few times the Red Bull guys and the Ferraris right up there. But anyway, we move on to the story practice, as you can see on your screens right now, doing the practice programs, all well and done, all thankfully all 50 out of 50 there. So that was really nice for us at the Brazilian Grand Prix. I think we're going to be close to about I would say maybe 1,500 R&D points by the end of this race weekend, which would be pretty damn sweet. And then hopefully at the finale in the next round, the last episode at Abu Dhabi, we can do some more work and try and maximize how many points we can go into Season 2. You can see here we had a wet FP3 session, so this is when I actually did my qualifying run, and this is also where I had a bit of a spectacular crash in the first sector there, losing my wheel tether. But now, speaking about qualifying, we move on into Q2. You can see it is wet at the moment, so yet again another wet session for us in this career mode. Just love it, just love it. But yeah, we got into Q2 obviously very easily. It's actually going to be full wet conditions by Q3, so we'll see what we can do. But this does mean we'll get free range of the tyre strategy, but I also believe it's set to rain a little bit in the race ahead. It's going to start dry, I think, in the race ahead, but it's then going to rain later on. But at least means we do get a free choice of tyres. But we come through in Q2 now. Obviously, I've said before, I'm usually pretty okay in the intermediate conditions versus the AI, compared to the full wets, and then we just about get ahead. I actually did beat Button in the first part of Q2, but then he set a faster lap time, so it looked like we just got a little bit lucky there, because it looked like everyone actually set a second lap time that went a lot faster than their first lap time, whereas I just set one and then pretty much just sat in the garage and fast forwarded. So we got a little bit lucky there not to be knocked out by people going faster or maybe a better track there at the very end of Q2, and that means we can come through in Q3 now on the full wet tyres, the big chunky blue wall tyres, to try and set a lap time to try and get as far up the grid as we can. As I said, I didn't actually go in very confident into this lap, but it was okay through the first few corners, and it felt pretty okay throughout the entire lap. So I didn't really know where it was going to be. I thought it would have been actually around P10, P9 actually, because that's usually where it is on the full wets. I'm just not that great compared to my intermediate pace, but to my surprise, we stuck it up in P3 across the line there. Obviously, it's going to come down a little bit as everyone else sets their lap times, and so we end out the session in P6, which is pretty damn good, I think, in the full wet conditions, to beat my teammate who looked a little bit stronger than me in Q2. So I'll take that completely ahead of one of the Ferraris as well. So yeah, I will completely take that, and thankfully it's not another P7. So looking good for the race. It's going to start off dry, so we get a free choice of tyre, then it's going to rain slightly, so we could have a good opportunity to perhaps get a podium here. I'm feeling good for the Brazilian Grand Prix, so let's go to the grid for the race, the second last race of this season. So as per usual, taking a look at the race strategy ahead of the formation lap, you can see on the weather indicator it's going to be raining from pretty much near the first pit stop if you're on option tyres, or on the soft tyres, should I say, and it's going to be raining for quite a lot of the race. So really all we're looking at is the first tyre. That's the important tyre here. So we're going to stick on the mediums, reduce the fuel level by a little bit there. So we'll start with just one lap more of fuel to finish the race, but we're going to start on the medium tyres, so that will give us some flexibility at kind of, you know, hopefully going till the rain period. A lot of people are around, as you can see, have stuck with the soft tyres. The two Ferraris, Vettel and Raikkonen either side of me, going on the soft tyres. I believe there's some runners up ahead on the hard tyres, actually, which is very surprising to see, but plenty of variety and strategy, but we just don't know when the rain's going to come. You can see it's very overcast, but you just can't tell when the rain is actually going to fall. So I've gone for the middle ground, the kind of safe option, hopefully medium tyre. That should definitely take us till the rain period, and we'll see what we do after that and see how many positions we can gain in that period. But here we go to 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix. The championship could be decided today, and we could be a spanner in the works. The 5 red lights go out, and we're underway for the race, and Vettel gets a shocking start, as well as Verstappen. We're up into 5th place. We go round the outside of Max Verstappen into turn 1. We go there on the hard tyres, Hamilton on the hard tyres. We go down the inside of him into turn 2 at the end of the centre S. We go side by side with Hamilton. Give him the room. He's going to have the better line onto the run down to this back straight. We'll get in the slipstream and tow though, and we'll move to the left hand side of the circuit, and his hard tyres aren't going to work as well as my mediums. Into the next corner we go, brake very hard and late, and we've got that move, and we're up into 3rd place. A fantastic start for us here in the Mclaren. We're ahead of Hamilton from Verstappen, then Vettel, and then Raikkonen darting around. My teammate trying to get in the mix there, but up ahead it's Ricciardo and Rosberg trying to fight away, and you can see there Rosberg trails Ricciardo, so hopefully we can try and use that to our advantage, because if both of them are fighting hard, they'll lose a bit of time there, so we could catch up. So we're going to move later on into the Grand Prix, on towards lap 4 actually. You can see now Ricciardo defending his position. I think Rosberg's attacking him around the outside. We've gone purple in the first sector there, and as I just said, we've used that to our advantage. We've really gained on them right up towards Rosberg, so we climb up the hill into sector 2, and Rosberg for now is going to have to kind of stay back in 2nd place behind Ricciardo. But you can see how much time they've lost there, because we're right up behind them, and as well as Hamilton as well on the hard tyre, so we both benefited from that. We've used a bit of rich mix to gain on them, but through this entire section you can just see that Rosberg's losing some time here, some dirty air behind Ricciardo, but for now he leads on hard tyres, I think that is. So Ricciardo doing well to lead on the harder tyres. Obviously not as much grip as the mediums, but they're working well for him, and as we've seen with the two Ferraris on soft tyres, they're way back from Hamilton, so really maybe he didn't want to be on the softest tyres from the start of the Grand Prix. Maybe they're not working so well in these colder conditions at the moment as Rosberg sparks away. We've got DRS. Rosberg will have the same on Ricciardo, but as we go on to lap 5, look at the Honda power we've got with DRS. We're going to overtake both of them into turn 1. We go 3 abreast into turn 1. We've gone deep though. Rosberg will make a good switchback line, goes side by side with through turn 2. He goes a little bit wide, but I also lose the back end, and Ricciardo now comes back at us, and we have to try and fight them. We'll get boxed in a little bit by the two of them. We're going to go in between both of them down to turn 3. Can we make this work? Rosberg's going to outbrake us. We're going to have to hang back, slot in behind him, I think, into 2nd place, but Ricciardo's still going to be very much there. Maybe he might have a run on us up the hill, but did you see that Honda power? That was just insane, the amount of speed we got off that hill down towards turn 1. I didn't think we would be catching them that fast with Rosberg also having DRS. That was insane. And then you can see here Rosberg is having some sort of issue in these opening laps. You can see how much I've gained up on him, so I think that might be a cause of why it looked like we closed up on him so fast. I think Rosberg must have an issue with his car, maybe an ERS issue, because you can see off that corner on that swooping panning shot on the replay camera, we gained so much in the traction zone. His car's scraping along the ground a lot, also sparking away, so I'm not too sure if it's maybe something to do with his setup, but Rosberg clearly is at a bit of a deficit for some reason, because our car has never been this fast. Look at this. Even before we get DRS, we're closing up so rapidly, so he must have some sort of issue there. I just cannot believe our Honda car is going to be that fast in a straight line, even with the 3 engine upgrades. I've got 8.6 wings on as well, 6 rear wing downforce, so there's no way our car is going to be that fast, so he's definitely got some sort of issue, and we're going to, obviously use it to our advantage, so we're into 1st place now. But on to the end of lap 6, you can see struggling a little bit. It's a lot darker now, and we're actually going to box in this lap for intermediate tyres, very much like what happened in Hungary. It doesn't look like it's raining very much, but it's definitely time to come in for the intermediates, as I'm struggling for grip. Rosberg's probably going to come in behind us as well, I think, and yeah, confirmation there, he does come in there. I think Hamilton stays out. Yeah, Hamilton does stay out, so Hamilton doesn't want to double stack with me, Rosberg and Ricciardo there, so fair play. Hamilton stays up one more lap, but as we come in, I think DRS is being disabled at this point in time, so pretty much perfect timing for us to come in for the pit stop phase. So on to those green wall intermediate tyres. Unfortunately though, oh, look at that. We're going to get held up by 3-4 cars there. We got held up by Rosberg, I think Raikkonen that was in the Ferrari, Ricciardo, and then the Haas car. So that was really, really unfortunate. So we've lost 3 positions there. So I actually think in hindsight, we should have probably actually stayed out with Hamilton and lost less time there in the pit stop phases, but I just thought it was the correct thing to do. But we actually lost a lot of time there, so we're going to have to just try our best on the outlap and try and catch up up to these guys and try and see what we can do. We've got some fuel to burn actually in that opening phase of the Grand Prix, so we're good. But actually on towards the middle part of lap 7, you can see there's a huge train here. Ricciardo, Raikkonen and Rosberg all caught up behind these 2 kind of slower cars on the wrong compound of tyres. Obviously they're still on the dry tyres because they haven't made their pit stop yet, and look at that, we've made 3 overtakes in the span of literally 1 corner there, and we're back up into what will be now 7th place and a net position of ahead of all those guys. So we lost all those positions in the pit stop phase, and just like that, in 1 corner, we've gained it all back thanks to all these cars on the hard tyre, on the medium tyre. You can see Palmer behind us on mediums. Verline there, we just passed him on the hard tyres. Gutierrez was on the soft tyre ahead of us, so we've gained all those positions back. So thank you very much, kind of slower cars on the dry tyres. You really helped me out there. So we've gained all those positions back. So through turn 1, we're going to see where Hamilton is. Looks like he's actually ahead of us. He's coming out ahead of us. You can see on the mini-map, he's already pretty much halfway down, pretty much exiting the pits already. So Hamilton, I thought he would have actually been caught out by going 1 more lap, but because he didn't have to kind of deal with any other cars, any dirty air being held up, he's actually come out ahead of us by a few seconds there. So Hamilton really has gained a lot, so that's really unfortunate for us as we move on later into the Grand Prix. Lap 13, we've tried our best to catch up to Hamilton, but it's not been working. We've actually been falling back, and now Rosberg is coming back at us now on the main straight and down into turn 3. I can see that I'm not too confident on the brakes. We've gone really deep and wide. Second gear, Rosberg goes down our inside, but he gets a poor exit. We make a switchback move, and we're going to get second place back. So some nice dueling with Nico Rosberg. For now, you can see though there is clearly a train forming behind me of Rosberg, the 2 Ferraris, and I think my teammate Button is right behind Raikkonen there in what will be, I think, about 5th place or 6th place. So really good for him to be right up there. You can see 3 laps later onto lap 16, still struggling for grip right now, and actually it might be nearly time for the full wet conditions. It's still been pouring down. Engineer's been telling me the rain's going to be staying for a few 10 minutes here. So I think right now, at this point in the Grand Prix, I was thinking it was time for the wet tyre. So we do come in at the end of this lap. Everyone else stays out. So this is a bit of a risk. But, you know, we're in the Mclaren. That's been a kind of case this entire season. We do have to make these kind of maybe edgier calls. Maybe just try and hope for some luck, and maybe we'll luck into it. So we've gone a little bit early onto the wet tyres, this will be, but hopefully it will work out for us, because I feel like the grip was already kind of getting reduced there on the wet tyres, but I really was making a train of it, you know, ahead of Rosberg, the 2 Ferraris, and my teammate didn't have enough pace. I think Hamilton pulled at least like an 8-second gap, I think it was, so Hamilton really did have the pace there to be out there in what was 1st place, and we were struggling to really keep 2nd there. So I'm hoping this wet period could maybe be a little bit better for us. We've come out earlier on the wet tyres, and let's see what we can do on them. We move later on, 3 laps later, onto lap 19, and you can see we're in P11. Everyone has still not pit for wet tyres, so in hindsight, I think I have gone a little bit earlier on the wet tyres, but you can see there, we're actually catching up to Ericsson. So on lap 19 right now, my teammate's pitting. It is now time for wet tyres. Probably was about time for wet tyres around lap 18, so I probably went maybe 2 laps earlier. Maybe if I went on lap 18, I could have gained something. I mean, we did gain a few seconds on Ericsson there, so hopefully let's see what the gap is going to be to the likes of Rosberg, the 2 Ferraris, and my teammate there who was in the pits quite early on. So I think we might have lost a little bit of time, but as I said, we have to take these risks. You know, sometimes it works out for us and sometimes it doesn't. You know, it worked out for us in Malaysia, didn't quite work out for us in Japan. It's not looking like it's working out too well for us right now. Saying that though, Button's behind us coming out the pits, so we are still going to stay ahead of our teammate. And there is Raikkonen coming out the pits. We're just going to get him there. Hopefully we'll go side by side and we'll just about pit him. Yep, we'll just about pit him for 5th place. Ricciardo is ahead of us, so Ricciardo has overtaken us and leapfrogged all of us there. And I think the same can be said for maybe Nico Rosberg. We'll see as we come through turn 1 later on the very next lap. You can see where is Sebastian Vettel. There he is, just at the top of your screen there, coming through out the pit exit. And there he is side by side. So again, just like Raikkonen, we'll just about get ahead of Sebastian Vettel here, actually a little bit earlier than we did on Raikkonen. And now Vettel will squeeze out Kimi Raikkonen there, and that will help us out there if those two are scrapping away. But it looks like Button there is not kind of slacking about. He's right there behind the Ferrari, so he's hoping he can overtake them, and that is exactly what he does. Speaking of of that, because on towards lap 24, a few laps later in the Grand Prix, Button is now looking very, very fast, and coming into this corner, I go a little bit slow, and at this point I think, okay, let's let Button through, because he's clearly very, very fast. Don't want to hold him up, and actually we could get a better team position if I let him through, because he's looking very, very punchy. He overtook 2 Ferraris, and is now caught up to me, so it's clear he's a lot faster than me in these conditions. I've said it before, but on the wet tyres, I don't know why, it just feels so much worse for me than the intermediates. I just don't have the feeling I do on the intermediate tyres as I do on the full wet. Yes, we qualified quite well on the full wet, but I don't know, in the race on heavier fuel, it's just not working for me. So I'll let Button through. Hopefully he can go and kind of extend the gap, and he's not going to hold me up, and I'm not going to hold him up. And on to lap 27, it is now time for the intermediate. So the rain stopped falling down. It's time to go back onto the green wall tyres. You can see Button's come in the same lap, unfortunately, so we are going to have to double stack. But I just didn't think it would be worth staying out for one more lap, because it really was time for intermediate tyres. So double stack for the McLaren boys here, and just hopefully won't get held up too much. That's going to be a few seconds. It can be a bit painful there as the Williams car goes ahead of us. I think the Haas car coming down the pit lane is also going to get ahead of us, but Raikkonen there doesn't get ahead of us crucially. So we are ahead of still one of the Ferrari cars. You can see the Haas car has overtaken us, and the Williams car has as well, and that's of Grosjean. But as we come out of the pits, feeling immediately better on the pit exit there on the intermediate tyres, so I'm looking good for it and feeling good for it. So onto the middle part of lap 28, already caught up to Romain Grosjean here as he's struggling through the left-hander, getting a lot of traction, I must say, through the entire race weekend in that particular corner on the air. We stick it down the inside, pretty simple, easy move there, and we're up into 7th place, although you would imagine that because the Haas car, I think if you look back at the kind of team order, I believe the Haas team is like one of the last cars. They've really not done well this career mode season, and I think they're one of the slowest teams. I think Manor might be even faster than them at this point in this season, so they're not doing too well, you would imagine, and hopeful that we would be able to overtake them very easily. So now we move a few laps later onto lap 31 now, pushing hard, 5 laps left in this Grand Prix to try and catch up to Bottas and overtake him here. We've done so through turn 1. At this point in the Grand Prix, our teammate is ahead of us up in 4th place, so we need to get past Bottas just to try and make it maybe a 4-5 here in the Grand Prix today. It's clear that we've just made the wrong strategy calls compared to Jensen, compared to most of the grid, but we can try and salvage just a good 5th place if we can try and get past Bottas. You can see I'm also using the fuel mixture a little bit differently. You could see probably through turn 1 I was in lean mix, then put it back up to standard as we've got a virtual safety car here, so that will kind of neutralize things a little bit. We put it back down to lean, but yeah, getting back to that, I've been using the lean mix a little bit throughout this entire Grand Prix just to get better traction in this second sector, and then I put it back up into rich and standard as we climb up the hill here. And so the virtual safety car is going to come to an end, I believe, as we climb up this hill. You can see we're green in the delta time, so at this point I almost kind of floor it, and it's okay if we go in the red for the delta because the virtual safety car is going to end, so we're going to actually cheekily gain a little bit of the virtual safety car right up Bottas's chuff now, up his gearbox. We'll make the move down to turn 1, down the inside, we'll hit the apex, go a little bit wide though, but hopefully hold it through. But Bottas is going to get a good run through the second turn, through turn 3 here, so we swoop round, and he's going to get a good line, good slipstream, so he's going to try and make a move. As he look behind us, he's going to go to the left hand side of the circuit, make the move down the inside. We're going to try and hang around the outside, maybe do a switchback line. Doesn't work as Bottas does well to really slow the car down, but we try here on the left hand side, and again Bottas does really well to be really nice and aggressive and defensive there. So he's really not letting this place go, because I could have easily got that twice maybe, but he parked his car beautifully there. So now we just have to kind of be a little bit patient through this right hander. We know we can gain a lot of traction on the left hander here, so I try and set myself up to go round the outside. We swoop round, we get the traction here where we've been good all weekend, and we do easily swoop round there for what will be 5th place. So we'll make it a 4-5 right now for McLaren. You can see just there at the edge of your screen, hopefully on that later shot, that Jensen was just up ahead up the road in 4th place, and that's where it will end, unfortunately. I tried my best to catch up to Jensen, just wasn't going to work. He had the pace there to keep it in 4th, but it's a great 4-5 for McLaren. The same exact thing we did at USA, except we'd swapped round. I got 4th place in USA, Button got 5th then. It's the other way around now for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And while we've done that, Nico Rosberg's grabbed 3rd place and has become an F1 world champion here at Brazil.
Questions at the start of the season as to whether this package could really go all the way, but there's no question anymore. What a special year it's been. And here they are now, the new Formula 1 World Drivers' Champion.
So yeah, as much as we concentrate on ourselves in these career modes, it's nice to acknowledge what's happened to the AI and what they've been doing in their fight, and Nico Rosberg has come through to win the World Championship here in 2016. Daniel Ricciardo wins the Brazilian Grand Prix, and so the next race, the finale, will be a dead race in terms of the championship for everyone, effectively. So basically, it's anyone's to kind of, win. Everyone just wants to do the best they can to finish off the season. Obviously, I'm going to try and finish off with a high, and hopefully we can maybe try and challenge for a podium. That would be fantastic to end out this season if we can get a podium there at Abu Dhabi. But we've come home for a great 4th-5th there, and that's really going to help us secure that 4th place in Constructors, as I've said before. And we did a great job, obviously all throughout practice, qualifying, and the race to get as many R&D points as you can, because obviously you get R&D points for qualifying and the race there. So hopefully that will help us out to get as many points as we can, because if we can try and maybe get as close as we can to 2,000 R&D points, we'll get a bonus of 500. That means 25%, and that means we'll start the season off with 2,500 points to spend at the beginning of Season 2, so that'll be really awesome to see. But yeah, fun Grand Prix. Obviously, we made some wrong strategy calls, I feel, but we still made it through for a solid 5th place there, and 4-5, as I said, with Jenson Button. That's a really, really great points haul. So, guys, if you did enjoy the episode, smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly full-on content. And so, the next episode is the finale, guys, of Season 1 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It should be quite a fun one. It's going to be quite weird, we've already got through to the end of Season 1. It's been a long season, 21 episodes. It's been a bit of a weird long season. I'm not actually used to that, so I'm sort of happy that we can round out the season, get on to Season 2, and really maybe try and challenge for the championship then. So I'll see you guys then for the finale of Season 1. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.